Hello everyone, it's Dmitry Anoshin and we on the course of Surfalytics, and today we'll talk about Git and GitHub. I don't want to go deep in details how the things works with Git, and there are so many different commands. I just want to make sure that everyone can create the account in GitHub, connect their local machine and ID, and make sure like for any exercise they do, they will use the Git and commit the code in their repo. And it might be a bit frustrating and confusing that you just start using Git. But if you will doing over and over same things over the time, you just learn it and you will feel very natural about this. So if you don't understand anything, don't worry. Just follow the guide and make sure you can create the Git account. So to create the Git account, what you need to do, if you go to, I create the new private window, right? Go the GitHub page, and GitHub, it's the product that using the Git. Git itself is open source. We'll talk about this a bit later, but this is where we start, because alternative we can use, for example, GitLab, right, with another variation of Git version control systems, right? But looks like the GitHub, the most popular, is like different variations of this from different vendors. That's why we decided, okay, let's make it simple. Let's go here. If you don't have GitHub, just follow the instructions. If you have, you can log in, and it's totally fine. And for example, this is my account, right? So you can see where I commit the code in my Git, and this is actually a very powerful thing to attach to your resume to make sure that people who hiring you actually can see what kind of code you did. And here even there are options that you can create the home page here and reflect your experience the same as resume. And you also have the followers. You can create the repositories and everything. Okay, what is Git? So there is the whole free book available for the Git, and calls Pro Git. You can download this PDF and also EPUB. You can read this, and also available on many languages. And if we look like what is the Git, so for me the Git is just the version control systems that track all the versions of the file. And there is examples here. So and there are specific terms exist, like features, commands, branch, like workflow, and like with commit, with push, like different commands. So we just need to know subset to start, and then over the time you can add the extra idea. So the general idea about the Git, that you can think, okay, you have the code base, right? Because typically any applications that running in production, it somewhere has the code base. And this code base, they usually store in the Git systems where you can versioning. And if anyone wants to do any kind of development work, usually what they do, they can like, okay, let's clone the whole repository to my local machine, and then we'll create the branch. Basically, the branch, it's copy of, first you clone the whole repo, so you have like local copy of production on your machine of everything in repo, or just all code. Then you clone it, and then you create the branch. So you basically do the copy of local version of the production code. And usually these calls either master or main. But yeah, with examples you get better idea about this. So, and then you create the branch, you do the changes, and then you can commit the code and then push and create the pull request or the merge request. Depends what kind of systems used, but it's the same. And then it can be merged back. So this is example, right? So someone, they cloning, they're making their working copy, creating the branch, they do some kind of changes, and they push. They push the code, they commit, and then they review, and they merge. Could be many unknown words, and bear with me, we soon will do the more things. Yeah, you can read the first chapter of this book to get idea what is this, and also talk about the history. But you just need to know this too. For all engineering work, it must have. For data engineers, for analytics engineers, for data analysts, it's not that mandatory, but I found that it's very beneficial to have this in your resume, in your experience, because you can quickly understand the code base. Assuming you're data analyst and you work with data engineers who are using the Git system, for example, GitHub, and if you're able to understand what is GitHub, how to find the code, how to see the code, or maybe even how to do the slight modifications, then you have way more career advantages on this competitive market. That's why we want to have really perfect setup on the start, like starting from IDE, then GitHub, and then command line interface. Even if you're gonna barely use it, you will have the idea. And one of the most important skill is actually be able to read the code that was written by someone else. It could be SQL code, it could be Python, and usually the code is stored in the Git system, so you need to know how to use this, or you need to use the command line interface, like to be able to interact with Git systems, to clone the code, or maybe do some other things. So that's why I want to close all possible the gaps and set the foundation for everyone before actually doing any kind of analytics and data engineering work. So as soon as you create your GitHub account, you can create the repo. So let's go. I already have 12 repos. It doesn't matter. You can have as many as you want. I can click new, and I can give the name, and I can tell it's Surfalytics Git starter. You can give any kind of name. I can give description. I can choose this as public or private. I can add README file. It's the good practice. Always has README file. And those README file, they actually in Markdown. And we'll talk a bit late what is a Markdown file. We can also add git ignore file, and maybe we can say, oh, maybe we can choose, doesn't matter, we can choose the Python. And we can have license, we can don't have license, doesn't matter. So I click the create repo, and this is my repo. And this repository lives in the internet and hosted on GitHub. So I can send this link to anyone, and it has my username / repo name. And we see the production copy of my code calls the main. Right? In the past, people used word master, but then they eventually switched to the main. And here we can also see the list of the branches. I don't have any branches. We have also releases, but we don't need anything right now. So here we have issues we don't need. The pull request, we'll see what is the pull request, and we'll see what's the actions. So those things is important. In security and the settings, you can do extra things. We don't need to do anything right now. So, and we can clone the code. We can clone the code by running this command like git clone, or we can download GitHub desktop, And I don't recommend to use GitHub Desktop because it's UI tool. It looks like this. So yeah, it's basically very simple to use Git with GitHub Desktop because it's very nature way and user friendly. But in this case, you probably won't understand how the Git works. That's why we don't use it. So if I do just one thing right now, because it's public repo, I will be able to do this. And now I can go to my ID. Where is my ID? So, and maybe before I do this, let me open the terminal. Right, and here, using our knowledge for CLI, we can maybe we can create new folder, and for example Git, and then we can go to this folder. I can check that I'm in this folder, and we can check that we have the GitHub. Yeah, and if you don't have the GitHub, what you need to do on the Mac, let's quickly check. I mean, not the GitHub, but the Git. So for Mac, we usually using the brew, and with the brew we can install almost any libraries. We also can do, sometimes then we download the apps, we also can use the brew. So you need to make sure that you install on the Mac, you install the homebrew, because this would be very useful for you for all your work. And if you install the homebrew, you can install the Git. For the Windows, let's check for the Windows. For the Windows, you can download it as a file and install. And I think it's also in Microsoft Store available for you as well. Okay. In my case, I already have it. That's why I can just say git clone, and I need this path. So, and if I will see, now I have my repo here. I can go inside. So, this is what I have. And I click code dot, and in this case it will open a new ID project with my repo. Here we see we open the new project, and here we have I also can zoom. And here I have already the same files that I have here. And also, ID already give me additional information about what kind of branch currently I am. Right, and here I also can create the new branch. We also, if we open the terminal, and as soon as we'll start to work with the Git, we need to use terminal. And you should think in terminal is just about place where you can copy paste the commands, and commands usually the same. So we can say git status, right, and it will tell me it's on branch main. And the couple other commands that might be helpful for us, because currently it's already connection is established from my Mac to the GitHub, but you may need to actually connect. And for this purpose, what we can do, we can check what commands they suggest. So if we're running this command, okay, for now, we have the code, we have a bit of text here. We don't add really any information. And you see that I start to modify the file. It's actually like showing that this file is a bit modified. Right, this dot tells me the file, and I can save it. We also, here, as soon as we save the file, it tells me the file is modified. But the thing, what we did right now, we changed the copy in the local, we changed the file in the local copy of the like production code that has the main. And that's not right. So what you want to do, we can just remove everything, right? And we can check git status. So the first command that you need to use, git status is clear, right? That with git status command, like we just can see what's the status. And origin main, it means it compare the code that we have locally with origin. What we can do here, we need to create the branch. So the branch, this is the command that will create new branch, and we could say modify files. And we can do something like, even I can put my name / if there are many people doing this, then work together. As soon as we create the branch here, it tells me that's the branch, but I always can check like git status, and we see I'm on the branch here. Okay, now we can start to modify the file. First, we can all have maybe git commands, and I will do the first one, clone the file. And currently we work with the markdown files, and this is the files that we use usually for everything that we develop the code. If you want to write any kind of descriptions or just the documentation, we use markdown. Markdown is very convenient, it's not that complicated, and I will show you a bit more information about this. I'll clone the code from repo, and then this means that we can highlight the code block, and for example, I run it here, I just get this right, but you need to create your own repo, right, your user. So we created the new branch, and in this branch we started to create the code, and here I show one example, the first command we run. And this in case you want to use it. So the second command we use is git status, and this probably can see did we change any files. The next one, we create the branch. It's a kind of like create your development version of the code. And usually then we start to work on the branch. So for example, if I do checkout main, right? Then we start to work. The first thing we need to make sure that our local version of the production code is up to date. For this, we can run the lightweight command git fetch. So it will fetch anything remote, but not actually like more about metadata. And git pull. This will trying to fetch any code we have in the remote repo that we don't have physically copied. So, and we also have the command to see the list of branches, right? Let we edit here. We have this command, this command. We have this command. It's like little cheat sheet for you that will help you. So we can see the list of the branches, and I have remote branches, right? For example, if someone will create and save commit in a repo, then we can see this remote branch. I have my own branch, it's local one. So, and then because initial command that we did, and I can use find this. So I use -b, so it was for creating new branch. But if we want to move to the back to main, or we want to go to, for example, just the existing branch, we don't need -b. And we also can check -help, so it will tell us about the possible commands we use, and this is applicable for any CLI tools. Then we can call the help. So there is branch, right? The commit, the merge. Those one we don't want to use right now, but for any roles that involving using version control systems, for example, analytics role, you need to know those commands, and pretty any commands you need to just try what because, for example, we use this command. You need, for example, if we have the new folder just create the empty folder and we want to start versioning files, we can init and it will start doing this. But all those commands you need to like trying them what they mean. Right now I just focusing on the bare minimum that you can constantly use, repeat over and over. So right now, if I run git status, what we have here, we have I'm on this branch, and I'm not saving this yet. So if I will, let me just quickly want to copy. And do we have it here? Fetch. Yeah, we can even copy it here. Yeah, for me, we can copy this, okay. For me, just I will pull the code from remote repo or another branch. What else we have? We have this command is check list of branches. I use what else? If I will say main, back to main, and usually in the back to main we can sync it always with remote. There is the whole thing about conflicts and conflicts resolution. That's another thing that you might need to check. But yeah, for now, we just want to make sure that you're able to have your own GitHub account, your own repo, and then you can start commit the codes, even from like every exercise, whatever you create. So what I have here, I have this README file. And now, because I save it, if I will say git status, it will say, oh, you know, this file is modified. So the next step for me, I need to, using the git add, this one, and it will add file context to the index. And we can do two things. We can do git add dot, like basically all the files that live in the same folder or in the child folders, or we can specify only the file, doesn't matter. Now, if I will check, I want to have it here. Index new and modified files. Yeah, we did this. Okay, that's good. With also option for stage the files, but we don't need, again, think about this right now. So our next big thing is commit. And we need to add the message. For example, adding my first review document. And what it tells me right now, it committed successfully. But for example, if you didn't authenticate in your Git system, because now it tells this the user, and I think it succeeded, but sometimes it can offer you open the window in the browser and authenticate with GitHub to make sure it has permissions. So, and I click git push, it will fail, but it tells me I need to, because I don't have the same branch in my remote, right? Here I don't have this branch. And that's why it always tells, okay, first need to set upstream. Yeah, and this is then it starts to actually authenticate in GitHub. So it asks permission, always allow, and it's right into, so, and now my branch, so if I go and check, where's my branch? Yeah, here if I will refresh the branches, now we have the new branch. It is here. But it's just the branch. And usually, why we need to keep the branch, before we can merge this code to my main, we need to create the pull request. And this is a very important piece of the work to understand why we do this, and because this is something you can use often at your work, and also be proud that you understand what it means and what means code review. So I just can click Ctrl or Command and open this page. It will suggest me to create my first review document. It's the header, we can change the header, and here we need to write description. So, and this is very important for us to write really clear explanations what we're doing. For example, we can have section, and again, it's using markdown, right? And I promise you to show what markdown means. Oh, and I see the file here is also have some changes. We push it, and it still have some changes. So it means I need to push the code again, like to save in this remote repo. But if you're curious what is Git, so here we're doing we're using hashtags. It's like in the Microsoft Word list, like header, or it's like header 2, and we can have multiple of them. This will highlight the code, the bullet points with dots, or just, yeah, it's very simple. So, and in IDE, we have the preview built in. I don't know why it's not working for me. I think it's something related to permissions. I need to later check it, why I don't want to. We can also, for example, if I go trying to download another plugin, just installing it, and I can see, and do they have how to launch it? I can use the Shift Command P to open the window and type markdown preview. No. What is, I even don't know what I did install. I think it can create the blocks for us, but we need to open their preview. It still have the problems. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay, I will fix it for the future reference, but here I want to show you what is Markdown. And it's the files with extension MD. So, and here you can see all the examples. All right, very similar how you write the words. Nothing complicated, very few options you have. It also supports emojis. That's why you can write really nice documentation with emojis. So, and here you even have some best practices. So if you want to have the bold text, you just use 2 stars. If you want to have cursive, you have 2 underscore. What else? Okay, it's bulk. And so you can have like block quotes with this symbol, or you can have multiple parameters. You can have the nested elements if you have doubles, and you see it like even use the headers and everything else available in Markdown. You can build the lists, right, with the things. What else? You can have like just bullet points and nested bullet points. And do we have the table example? You can build the lines. Okay, titles. For URLs, there is certain commands. Do they have example for URLs? Do they have example for table? Okay, let's choose. We can even say and go to their full Markdown example. Yeah, that should be good. This all, you see, this is the code that they use, all kind of headers. This is italic, bold, strike through, these different kinds of lists. You also can have like to-do lists. Very good, like if there's any actions in your code review. This is how they do the links. So you have the header, what is kind of links, and then the link itself. So it looks like hyperlink. For embedded images, you have this, like the name of the image, and then the link itself. And also you can provide the name of the text. Okay, footnotes, like you see those little things, reference to the documentation, code and syntax highlights. So if you want to do any kind of just one variable or one word, you just single quote. If you have the code block, you need to use triple. I think here the idea was to use like show it with the triples you can have, but accidentally it's create the whole thing. But it's just the triple, and also you can specify, for example, in my example I told it's the bash. You can specify what coding language you use, and then the tables. So these are the tables, and nowadays with ChatGPT you can really well generate like anything you want. So you can also embed the video, and that's about it. So back to my, so I hope for you the markdown preview will work, and here is the same preview, right? I can say in this PR, and then I can add the bullet list, new MD file, list git commands, and I can have this testings sections, say nothing. I can have related, and I can say like ticket numbered, or if you have one. So that's it. But the key idea that I create the pull request, and this pull request I can merge it because I'm the owner of the repo. But usually from this point we assign our colleagues, if we do on any code changes, then with SQL, Python, whatever code you work, you assign. And the pull request serves us first as a piece of very good documentations and testings to let person who will review that there is good quality information here. And you can read a lot of examples how to create the pull request. So I think the code review and the pull request, it's one of the most important part of good quality and engineering excellence work. That's why the sooner you start, the better you succeed. So, and usually the person who review the code, they can go here and see what was changed, and they can approve it or leave the comments. And in my case, I will just merge pull request. Yeah, that's it. And I merge it. And I can delete the branch, or I can keep it, or I can specify in the setting delete automatically. So if I go to pull request, I don't have any open, but I have one closed. If I go to the code, so the README always loading automatically. That's why every folder should have README. And this is another piece that you need to work, that you have very good quality of documentation. For example, you work on assignment, you work on the homework, you work on the test or anything. Always keep your code in GitHub. Always create the very good detailed README using markdown files. So what we have here right now, we can check git log, I think one liner, maybe one line. No, okay, I can adjust this. So it has the information about actions. What we have else? So right now we modified the file. What I can do, I can add my file that I modified it. I can commit it, and I can say maybe it's the fix, and then I will do push. Because now this branch is existing remotely, it pushed to the same branch. So if I go to the code, refresh the page, and I have this branch that tells me it's first it's behind of the master or main, and it's ahead at the same time. So we can create new pull request from here. And I don't want to just add pull request, see what's changing, right? Like just adding new block of code. And I can merge. That's it. So, as a summary, we have our workflow looks like. First, we clone prod code. Right, we clone with git clone command. Second, we create dev branch with git checkout -b branch name. As soon as we create new branch, and behind this we do the changes, create new files. Next one, we can check what we have modified. The next one, we can index this. We can index all the files, right? Or the certain one. Next one, index modifying files. The next one, we have we need to commit those files, and git commit, and we should tell me any message or comment, right? 7, we committed, and we push to remote, right? And it means we push to actual repository in GitHub itself from the local version. And we have push, and it will let us know you need first set upstream, give you idea what command is. That's it. So as soon as we did this, this is development lifecycle is, then we push it, create pull request for code review. And we let our colleagues review it, accept, leave comments, and then only then we can publish this. So, and this is the cycle that we do. Now, we can go back to main. So we finished the work in this branch. I can go back to main, and we can see that in the main, I still don't have all the changes. What we can do git pull, and it will copy all the changes we did. So now it is here. So, and now my local version of the main, or like production code, is the same as the local version, or not local, is like remote version, my production code. So that's good. For example, we decide to work, let's do this one more time. And for example, we decide to work on new feature, on new functionality. Again, we'll git checkout -b, and I can again call it Dmitry, but now we want to work on pre-commit. And I will show you what is pre-commit. We just do a very simple operation with this. I will explain what is it, just to make sure we can install. And then we also will create one GitHub Actions. The main idea of the pre-commit is to run your code changes for minimum list of the tests. So the more tests you have, the better. But the idea, we just want to, for example, check that if we work with markdown files, they're actually good. Or if we do have any other files, we want that they also formatting in the good way. So, and sometimes you work with the SQL, the Python files, you can apply the linting. And linting, it means like do you have the good format? Like, do you use kind of like best practice for the SQL formatting? Do you have enough indentations? Do you have aliases for your columns, and so on and so on? In some cases, you have the more complicated tests. You can even run your code before you can push. And this will prevent you to push the bad code. For the text and documentations, usually it doesn't really matter. To do so, what we want to do first, we want to install the pre-commit. So let me show you what is the pre-commit. It lives here. And this framework for managing and maintaining hooks. So, and we can try to install it, right? There are different ways, right? You can use, for the Mac, you can just use this. If you, for example, on the Windows and you have Python, you can use the pip or pip free. So to check for me if I have pre-commit or not, right, I can run this command. But you, because you definitely don't have it, you need to try to install it. So, for example, I can try still install it, right? And I think I don't have this. I can try pip free because I have Python free. Okay, so it's even installed the update. And now I can check what version of pre-commit I have. Right, then the next step to actually enable it in my repo, I need to do pre-commit install. So, and should be available in my repo. Let's check. All right. One thing, yeah, it's all the hooks, they here. And if we, right now, it's not showing me this folder, but it's showing it here. So if we have it here, but we don't see it here, it's probably workspace is hiding this. So what we can go to, you can type here workspace settings. You open this, and here you can search for files excluded. And if I will remove it, I can see that now I have it. So I also got VS Code file, but maybe I don't want to have it. We can add it back. And we hide it. Okay. So here we have our hooks. And but this is, we don't need to know this information. What we need to know instead is we want to create the file where we can define list of the hooks, or basically checks. Any time that we commit, it will going through the checks. And we can create the files. We can create new file here. Oh, not the folder. Precommit.yaml, and you just need to set up it once for you, and then just copy across the repos. And then we have this. So we have this, and we have our pre-commit. So the next thing, we just need to add pre-commit configuration. Right? For this, we should create the file name, pre-commit config YAML, and inside the file, we can paste what we want to check. And here we can add many different hooks for DBT, for SQL, for Python, literally for everything. As soon as we have it, we can run pre-commit install, and it will install those hooks. So now, our assumption that we have anything in our files, right, then, and we commit them, those hooks will go and check our files. So in here, we can just test that pre-commit works, right? Pre-commit run all files. It's initializing everything. Even if you scare a bit with terminal and some crazy things going on, you shouldn't. Because right now, all what you need to do is to just make sure that you have the GitHub account. You can create all those steps that I highlighted here, and you just use them daily, and understanding will come later. And then we just adding pre-commit is kind of the best practices. So you see it's starting, it's using those checks, and you see it's fixed end of the file, it's failed. And what is good about here, it's failed, but it's actually modified the file for us and save. It's fixing README file. It also removing trailing white space. Nothing check for black, because black is for Python. So if I will say git status, git and we also have the git ignore file, where we can add the files that we don't want to that git track. For example, I don't want this one, right? And it's gone. Git add, git commit -m, and we can write a comment like adding pre-commit. So it's modified files. Okay, let's add them all, check that we added them, and trying to commit them again. And now we can do push, and we need to first set upstream. Okay, we did this, and here we can create a new pull request. Okay, and to avoid this thing that we need always create like descriptions over and over, we can add the template, and I will show you like quickly how we can add the template and where to add it. So adding pre-commit. And because I'm an owner, I will merge it. Now we have the pre-commit. It means for anyone who will work in this branch and do any kind of work, they will be able to, before they push the code, there should be run the pre-commit, right? That will testing their code. And usually, then we work on analytics projects, we have many different pre-commits check. But what is about if someone doesn't use the pre-commit, change the code and push to the repo, create pull request, and it even has like issues with the like trailing white space, and it kind of like not qualify for good code that we use in our organization. In this case, we ideally should run the same checks for the code or test, but remote in GitHub. And for this reason, there exist GitHub actions. So in here, there are lots of different GitHub actions, including pre-commit. I don't know, do they have? But here you can see those. It's templates, and those templates they in YAML files. By the way, we already have two types of files. One is Markdown, and one is the YAML file. So those are quite popular. And I will have dedicated video about file types that we commonly use, including JSON, CSV. But before, let's just focus on adding the new GitHub actions. For this reason, what we're gonna do, we will create a new folder. Before doing this, right? Let's don't forget that we need to go to master or main, pull all recent changes, and now we can create the new branch. And I will call Dmitry GitHub actions. So I have these, and my next step is to start actual work. So I will create new folder, and this folder is GitHub. Inside, I will create new folder, and we'll say workflows. And inside workflows, I will create my actions, and it could be pre-commit.yaml. So, and you see the YAML files we're using for like configurations. And actually, you might have the questions about YAML with 3 letters and YAML with 4 letters. And it's good to find out the difference. And we have description. File extensions do not have any bearing or impact on the content of the file. You can hold YAML content in files with extension YAML, or indeed anything. Recommends you use YAML in preference to YAML. But for historical reason Windows, so basically it's equally, but I know that some programs, they prefer only YAML, and they will just not working with YAML. And why open Stack Overflow? I just show you how we can Google the problems. But right now we have the modern solutions, and we can use ChatGPT. So I can type it here and get the same result. Okay, and for example, talking about templates for GitHub, instead of writing our own, we can say, hey, can you generate YAML markdown template for GitHub, and tell me where to put in my repository. And in this case, every time that we'll create pull request, we'll have, by the way, ChatGPT is very fast today. So this example of, it's create actually readme for me. Now, I want add template for pull requests. So it tells me inside the GitHub directory, we can create I don't think it's really matter, do you have the folder or no? And maybe we actually need add the dot here too, I would say. So here I can add another folder, and with another folder I will create new markdown file. And now I can copy paste this here. That's how it looks like. Now then we're gonna create the pull request. We will automatically see this, but we're also adding the pre-commit workflow. And I have example of this. So the idea here, it's also the YAML file. What is doing? So first we need to, I'm telling that then I do the push the code or create the pull request. It's starting to create the, using GitHub Actions, create the job. And it will create a kind of little container with Ubuntu operation systems. It will check out my code. It will set up some environment with the Python. It will install the pre-commit using my this file, and it will run this command. So, and it should succeed for everything. That's why anyone who will push the code from their local machine, from their branch to the remote, without doing pre-commit locally, it will fail for them. It means they don't want to invite anyone to do the code review before they actually fix it. So, and you see, we talk about very basic things that just make sense, and it's good that you can start your journey from like this baseline that most of the engineers in the whole world using, and you're just doing like slowly using the little things, and then we will adding more on top of this. Okay, let's trying to add this thing. We added git commit -m adding actions and template, right? Okay, it's bit modified the file, so we'll repeat it, and now we can push. Create remote. Okay, we could go to the repo. It didn't use the things that I need to use, and it's good. We can see how to troubleshoot this right away. So I create the pull request. My template didn't, but you see my pre-commit is working. That is nice. It is works, and we can click details, and we see all the steps that are happening right here. So it's basically all this, and it's very easy to read. So, and sometimes we can have multiple different workflows, and depends on actions we do. Is it like pull request? Is it push? Is it merge request or the stack release? So it's happening different things. So, and it's running. So it's, you see, it's doing the same but remote. It means we make sure, just double check that the code we did is good. That is good. Okay. Somehow it didn't recognize my template. And for example, I can trying to fix it long time, or I can just go here and ask, I have template here, but when I created pull request PR, it didn't used, or was it used, right? It tells it could be incorrect file name. Yeah, I think it should be located here, right? So, and we don't need So now, if we check Git status, okay, and you see in Git, then you're moving files, it thinks you deleted and create the new one. So there is specific command mv, so then you can move it and like index and show that you actually move. But for us, it doesn't matter right now. And I will say git commit -m, and then I can choose, okay, we just did this template. And do git push. Go. And because we just committed again, so it's running, you see, it's even run two of them, two checks, because we did the push, and we have the pull request. So we we don't need to do it on every push. It's good enough to actually do only on pull request. That's it. So we change it. We need to do this, and then we need. Then you do this like 20, 50 times, you will know it very well and understand. That's why we are repetitively doing this over and over for you, just to make sure if you're good with this, just don't spend your time. Do something else, like move to the next lesson. Git commit. Okay, we push it. Also, what we need to do, or maybe it's cancel, because usually we need to reach different kind of configurations for pre-commit and best practices. For example, if you push again, it should cancel the another one. So if we go to actions, and you see those list of my actions, and here that my workflows, it's actually the YAML files that you can find them in trying to decode or use ChatGPT help to understand. And this is the runners, and I'm using GitHub hosted runners. So it's basically like little virtual machine that's doing all the things for me for free. There is also cool things here. We can do GitHub pages, but it's for another time. So you literally can use GitHub pages to host your website or your portfolio for free. Okay, I think I showed you everything we want, and I assume the next time we'll create the pull request, we actually need to merge it, right? We need to, I go to my pull request. So, and we have list of commits. So I did 3 commits. Each commit has ID, but again, right now it doesn't really matter. So I have the check, right? And I have the list of the things I change. So that's good. That's all what you need to know for a very long time while you're learning and studying. And by using this, you already will be ahead of many of your colleagues or people who study things. And personally, for me, I had really long experience with the data engineering and analytics, and no one ever told me what is pre-commit, how it works, what is the GitHub Actions, or in some cases it calls pipelines. And I just show you very simple examples. It's not that complicated, very simple. And we're just starting from the simple example. Soon if you understand, you can move to the more complicated one. But we establish the baseline for GitHub. For all extra things about where is the rebase, or is different kinds of operations, or is cherry pick and some other things for GitHub, as soon as you will be comfortable with this, you can move to the more complicated things by yourself. That's it.